Hey everyone, and welcome to another Star Wars Games Update, where we bring you all of the latest and greatest in Star Wars gaming news. So the news of the return of the original Battlefront series made headlines a couple weeks ago, and for good reason. But now, with the excitement of that news having settled down a bit, I thought it would be a good idea to take a closer look at things regarding the Battlefront Classic Collection by developer Aspyr. Specifically that of the PC version, such as what the differences are between that and the current available versions on PC, and whether it's even worth picking up the Classic Collection if you're playing again on PC. Of course, it goes without saying that if you're playing on PlayStation 4, 5, or the Switch, then it's a no-brainer to grab the Classic Collection, especially if you're itching to play it for nostalgia purposes or just want to experience the original games for the first time. And seeing that this is now your opportunity to do this on these platforms for the first time ever, then yeah. The Classic Collection coming out soon is definitely amazing news for you. But if you're on Xbox or PC, the decision to buy this new edition of this legendary game series isn't as cut and dry. Especially with many PC gamers even going as far as calling this as a cash grab or scam by Aspyr. And well, some of the arguments, at least the initial ones, for this are valid. What I mean by this is that because unlike the PlayStation 4 and 5 and the Switch, both Battlefront 1 and 2 have already been readily available on PC for a very long time now. Same with on the Xbox via backwards compatibility. So naturally, people are apprehensive about having to buy the same game they already own, and from a glance, yeah, a lot for the most part does look pretty much the same. That said, in this video, we're going to be looking at both sides, digging into the arguments for why it doesn't make sense to buy the Classic Collection on PC, and also why you should consider maybe getting it. Basically playing devil's advocate for both, and hopefully at the end of this video you can make up your own mind on whether buying the Classic Collection on PC is worth it for you or not. As let me tell you right now, it's gonna be a different answer for most people. Firstly, let's look at something that both sides can agree on, and that is the price tag. As that's the first reason why PC gamers are up at arms and already complaining about the Classic Collection, as they have already bought the original 2 games before on Steam for, let's say, $5, and are appalled at the $35 US price tag of the Classic Collection, which over here in Canada, it's $45 for us Canucks. And based on everyone's reaction to the price tag, it's justified. Rightfully so, as games that came out in 2004 and 2005 should not be sold for this much in 2024. Now, granted, if you already own the original games on Steam, you are thrown a bone in a 20% discount. Which is better than nothing, sure, but even then, the price nonetheless is ticking a lot of folks off. But okay, aside from the price tag, let's look at what exactly is new and offered to you in the Classic Collection for those 45 buckaroos. At least what is being officially marketed by Aspyr. Well, the first bullet point they give us is, of course, the Xbox-only DLC maps and heroes in Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress, of which will now be available on all platforms for the first time ever. That's great to hear and all, but that was already something readily available through mods on PC. So it's not exactly an amazing selling point for the PC version. And why I'm kind of glossing this over, at least for now, as yeah, it's big news for the console players, but for many of those on PC, nah. That said, there is an actual cool official selling point feature that should excite even PC players, and that is, of course, Expanded Hero Assault. which now sees this mode be available for all ground maps in Battlefront 2. No longer only just being limited to Tatooine like in the past, which is no doubt an awesome addition, and even though it was possible on the originals with mods, the fact that we can play this right on the vanilla version and online multiplayer without fumbling with using the right mods or specific mod compatible servers is rather noteworthy in my opinion, especially giving potential to a much more higher online player base count for this mode alone. So yeah, that's a point right there for the Pro Classic Collection crowd. But even then, I hear ya PC players, is this feature alone worth almost $50 Canadian? Nope, not really, so let's keep digging for what else we can find here. Well, another big inclusion is the XL mode, which greatly increases the number of bots in battle, and as well the officially advertised 64 online multiplayer. Both are nice selling points and all, but again, only from the console point of view, as the XL mode was always readily available on PC due to the fact that the older consoles weren't able to handle so many bots in battle. So the PC version had it on day one, it was a PC version exclusive. And the same kind of applies with the 64 online multiplayer, which thanks to GOG was enabled for the PC version back in 2017. So again, neither of these features are impressive for the PC players. They're good for console, but PC not so much, as we've already had them and are now suddenly expected to pay so much for things that we've already had for years. Hence why again people are calling the Classic Collection a scam and a cash grab, which is fair enough if you only look at those points. But at the same time, if we're being brutally honest here, while technically working, the online multiplayer in both the Steam and GOG version of Battlefront 2 can be a bit janky, and at times have players enduring rubber banding depending on your connection, giving not always the most reliable and best experience. Not to mention, the online player base on PC is very small, as most people on PC tend to play offline more due to mods. Mods, of course, are the main selling point of why you'd get the game on PC, at least it was back then. So let's say if Aspyr's Classic Collection multiplayer is more stable and even offering dedicated servers, which, sure, it hasn't yet been confirmed that's even going to be a thing, and I kinda doubt that will happen. But if it turns out this may be the case, then sure. Folks who care a lot about multiplayer and want the best possible experience in that may find some value in getting the Classic Collection. Not to mention the overall big revival and boost in online player numbers in the online multiplayer that the Classic Collection will get over the originals is something definitely to take note of. Although I will say Aspyr not making the PC version crossplay with the console versions is a huge missed opportunity on their part, of which just having that alone I'm sure would even convince most of the hardcore anti-Classic Collection people to still pick it up. Anyway, I digress, as that's pretty much everything new that the Classic Collection will offer, at least according to the official marketing. And again, if we go by that alone, then of course people will view it as a cash grab, as all there is for PC players to truly care about is the expanded Hero Assault, and again, for nearly $50 Canadian, that is not worth it alone. Sure, there will for the first time be achievements for the games on PC, about 45 of them I believe, so if you're one of those folks who care about Steam achievements, then this is somewhat of a notable addition, but let's be honest, not everyone will care too much about that. So let's continue to dig deeper on what sets apart the Classic Collection from the originals on PC. And for starters, it's quite evident that the Classic Collection will have upscaled textures. More specifically, AI upscaled textures, which may not always present the best quality possible, and is more of a quick and easy solution by Aspyr than anything else. Still, HD textures are HD textures, so it's better than nothing. But it's also potentially due to this, which sees the Classic Collection requiring an absurd 50 gigabytes of disk space. Which is wild, as the originals together were only like, say, 13 gigabytes in total size comparison. So if this is the case, it's looking like Aspyr may have never heard of image compression or something, because 50 gigabytes of required space for games released in the mid-2000s is pretty insane. Well, it's either textures or upscaled 4K video files, or a combination of both, as Battlefront 1 and 2 use clips from the movies in the background in various parts of the game after all. Which, if that's so, then it's a bit more believable for video files to stack up on the storage size, but fine. Let's just look past this and see what else the Classic Collection on PC differs from the originals. Well, a rather noticeable one for myself is the game's engine upgrade to 64-bit, which indicates a rework of the engine to some degree. Thus, the game will run on a modern code base and even potentially new netcode, both of which are a big plus in my opinion and often overlooked by many PC players. And yeah, with a new netcode means also smoother and better online multiplayer. Next, there will be official full controller support, as will complete and verified Steam Deck support. And yes, you were able to play the originals with controller and on the Steam Deck too, but again, things were pretty jank and needed either a lot or some fiddling involved from the player to make things work as they should. And even then, it wouldn't always fully be perfect. At least this way, everything should simply just work right from the get-go. Another neat feature is the addition of split screen, which, yeah, I know is actually something that this time doesn't impress the console crowd. But hey, it's pretty cool for PC players, as this sees the PC version for the first time ever now offer 2-player split screen. And even better, with the use of remote play, this has even many folks now believing in Galactic Conquest co-op online multiplayer being a thing in the Classic Collection. Sure, it's not an officially confirmed feature or anything like that, but if split screen is in the game, then yeah, it's rather safe to assume that this should work via online remote play. And that alone is huge, as modding online co-op Galactic Conquest was an impossible task in the past. And to have it now working just like that in the vanilla version, even if remote play is far from a perfect experience, then it's still nonetheless pretty big news for a good number of PC Battlefront players out there. Lastly, you throw in what I'm guessing will be quality of life updates and improvements, such as, for example, better menus, stability, and likely bug fixes, of which of course we all know the originals did in fact have their fair share of glitches, which also saw folks many times abusing them online. And the Classic Collection on PC is suddenly looking less like a cheap, lazy cash grab scam. Now, out of everything on the list that we just talked about, the least impressive thing for PC players is, of course, the Xbox DLC, which, as I mentioned about before, was already available via modding. And well, to also play devil's advocate with the crowd calling this collection a scam, there is an interesting story here that needs to be told. Because, speaking about modding, it also turns out that Aspyr allegedly not only copy and pasted a fan mod of the Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress heroes into the Classic Collection, but also used an outdated version of the said mod, which saw both heroes simply be reskinned versions of Ayla Sakura and Ki Arimundi, which is not at all how the actual Kit and Asajj played on the official Xbox DLC back in the day. Now, the mod creator isn't angry that their work was used without permission or anything like that, as if anything, they're thrilled to see their mod be used in an official Star Wars release. But they, just like us, do deserve to be concerned about Aspyr using an outdated fan mod which sees incorrect heroes instead of the unique original pandemic heroes we were advertised to get. Not to mention Aspyr using a fan mod without telling anyone about it is scummy in itself in my book. As, let's not forget, the big reason their KOTOR 2 port did not see any of the originally advertised expanded content was due to Aspyr last minute changing their mind on not wanting to use a fan mod that unlocked it in their official release. I don't remember exactly what their reason against using it was, whether they had to credit or even pay the mod creator in order to add it to their port. But regardless, they pulled out on that idea and it was a big deal. Yet suddenly now they're cool with not only using fan mods in secret, but outdated fan mods? Yeah, something doesn't add up here. And even though most people playing the game won't even notice or care about this, I did think it was worth mentioning. Although, at the same time, Aspyr did respond to IGN when asked to comment about this, stating that they mistakenly included content that is not in the product after capturing placeholder footage for the trailer last fall. So I'm thinking they just got caught with their pants down and are now trying to remedy the situation. Which, hey, better now than after releasing the Classic Collection out to the public. But still, this should had never happened in the first place. But aside from this modding drama with Aspyr, I think everything else are good additions to the original games. As let's wrap up this video with a quick recap. For the Classic Collection, we are supposedly getting a revised and more reliable online multiplayer, HD textures without needing to install any mods, split-screen multiplayer that enables us to potentially play Galactic Conquest online multiplayer via remote play, expanded Hero Assault that's playable online right from the gate, full controller and Steam Deck support, and the game's now running on a 64-bit codebase engine that, while to some may not sound like much, actually holds up huge potential for the future of the games, especially in terms of future modding, where now modders can push the limits that past mods never could reach on the 32-bit codebase. But on the flip side, the absurd 50 gigabytes of required disk space, the XL mode that PC already always had, the $40 Canadian price tag, and the whole Aspyr modding drama which has left many folks with a bad taste about this re-release. And well, let's not forget to mention that it's also very likely that all the currently existing mods will not be compatible with the Classic Collection either, thus forcing mod makers to retweak their mods in order to work with it, which could be a deal breaker for some. Regardless, throughout this video, we've looked at both arguments for why the Classic Collection is worth it on PC, and also the same for why people are calling it to be a scam and cash grab. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I can understand and agree with both viewpoints, especially the one on the price tag, of which I think no matter how you look at it is far too steep for what is being offered for such old games that aren't truly remasters in the modern sense. Like for example, the recently released Star Wars Dark Forces, which is a true remaster with the game being completely redone in the new engine, recreated sprites and art from scratch, and offering a new modern yet familiar experience that wasn't possible in the original game. That right there is a true remaster, and because of it, you're not seeing people complain about it in the same vein that they are about the Classic Collection on PC. But at the same time, to be fair, you can't really compare the two as they're both from two different gaming eras. And Dark Forces required a graphical overhaul far more than the Battlefront games do, simply due to being pixel art rather than classic and still serviceable to this day 3D graphics, which obviously scale a lot better than pixel art, like the 4K and such. Finally, to wrap things up, it's going to depend a lot on what you're looking for and take priority in. As the bottom line is, if you only care about playing offline and having full mod support, or at least having no problem with the current mods and don't want to support lazy ports, then stick with the original versions that you can get for like $5 or less these days. But if you want a more reliable and less janky online multiplayer experience, official controller and Steam Deck support, expanded Hero Assault, and the possibility of playing online co-op Galactic Conquest, all with HD textures without needing to do anything, plus quality of life improvements and overall better performance, and open yourself up to future modding potential thanks to the 64-bit codebase, then the Classic Collection should very much be worth a look for you. If not now, then maybe on a big major sale. Now, sure, could Aspyr have done more with this re-release, such as to actually make it a worthwhile remaster and even add crossplay to it? Definitely. Should this have been a big update for the originals on PC? Of course, hands down. And are Aspyr charging you more than what is being offered here? Also yes, and I'd be fine if this was like 15 or 20 bucks, as 45 Canadian is just straight up silly. But are there also enough additions and improvements made here to say that calling it a scam is going a bit too far? Absolutely, and at the end of the day, it's going to hinge on what you value most and whether you think voting with your wallet in this instance is worth it in the end or not. And that will do it for the Star Wars Games Update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but to keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.